The Arathari dominion prided itself on conquest. For millennia, they had swept across the spiral arm, their crimson war banners planted in the soil of countless worlds. They thrived on subjugation, and they laughed in the faces of those who begged for mercy. And when they came to the human colony of Lume 4, they expected the same. The colony was young, barely a century old, its population a modest 3 million. A jewel of oceans and silver forests, its people were farmers, engineers, and scientists. Civilians. Soft. Vulnerable. The Arathari armada descended without warning, 100 warships blotting out the skies. Their soldiers landed in tides of fire. The colony's defense batteries managed a token resistance. 3 frigates scrambled from orbit, outmatched and obliterated within minutes. The ground defenses were overwhelmed by plasma storms and walker legions. The governor of Lume 4 was dragged before the Arathari Warmaster, a towering creature of scaled armor and predatory calm. Before the eyes of his people, before the burning wreckage of his city, he was executed with ceremonial precision, his head displayed on a pike of alien alloy. "Let the humans know," the Warmaster sneered, voice amplified across all comms, "that their time in this galaxy is over. They spread like vermin into stars that do not belong to them. Today we cull their arrogance. Tomorrow we erase their presence entirely." They broadcast the slaughter. They wanted Earth to see. Lume 4 was annihilated, its cities burned to ash, its orbital habitats reduced to drifting slag. Survivors were herded into pens, enslaved or executed. The Arathari feasted in triumph, raising toasts of spiced bloodwine over the ruins. To them, it was just another conquest. The laughter of the victors, in the galactic forums, Arathari envoys mocked humanity openly. "They are soft-worlders," one declared, mandibles clacking with amusement. "Their fleets are relics. Their spirit is bound by law and mercy. What strength they had during the era of expansion is dust. They will howl over their fallen, but they cannot bite." Other species listened and nodded. Humanity had always been viewed as peculiar, curious, ambitious, but restrained. Diplomats, builders, explorers, dangerous once, but not anymore. They had integrated, grown comfortable, fattened on peace treaties and trade. The massacre of Lume 4 was treated as a lesson, a cautionary tale whispered among weaker races. Do not overreach, or you will meet the same fate. The Arathari boasted that Earth itself would kneel within decades. They did not see the silence from Sol as ominous. They mistook it for fear. The quiet. Before the storm for weeks, Earth said nothing. No retaliation, no demands, no counterattacks, only silence. The Arathari interpreted this as victory. They paraded their trophies, captured humans, shattered human vessels, the burning emblem of the United Terran Commonwealth, broadcasting it across the stars. But deep in the dark corridors of Sol, far from the cameras of the galaxy, something stirred. Within the hollowed moons of Jupiter, titanic shipyards rumbled awake. Within Saturn's rings, shadows coalesced into shapes vast and terrible. Mars, long silent in its militarization, began venting streams of light as forges reignited, and beyond, the mapped routes of the galaxy, beyond the nebular shrouds where no beacon dared shine, fleets that had never been spoken of began to move, the shadow fleets. They were humanity's oldest secret, born from paranoia during first contact centuries ago. While diplomats smiled and traded, while colonies grew fat and peaceful, the hidden architects of Sol prepared for the inevitable. They remembered every invasion in Earth's history, every conqueror who had underestimated the species dwelling on the blue world. These fleets were never meant to be seen. Their existence denied by every treaty, every census, every galactic observer. But now, when the stars themselves seemed to tremble with anticipation, they emerged. The stars tremble. The first sign was at the Arathari frontier outpost of Tarquan Prime, a station bristling with weapons, guarding a cluster of conquered worlds. It vanished. No distress call, no battle log, no survivors. Where once stood a fortress of steel and fire, there remained only a silent void littered with wreckage. Arathari ships sent to investigate never returned. The second sign was worse. Entire trade convoys began disappearing. Not at the hands of pirates or rival powers, but without a trace. Merchant vessels arrived at scheduled ports with crews reduced to ash, their logs wiped clean, their engines burning with scars of weapons no one recognized. Whispers spread. Some said the void itself had come alive. Others claimed humanity had unleashed specters, assassins from forgotten wars. Then came the transmission. A single voice, cold and human, broadcasting into every Eratheri channel. You touched our colony. Now the stars will burn. Shadows unleashed. They came not as fleets of honor, but as wraiths in the dark. Ships of impossible scale, blacker than the void, emerged from folds in space no one knew humans had mastered. Their hulls devoured light. Their weapons struck without warning, beams of searing white that split battlecruisers in two. Entire flotillas of Eratheri vessels were extinguished before alarms finished sounding. Commanders screamed into comms that yielded only static. Wherever the Shadow Fleet struck, they left annihilation. Planets garrisoned with tens of thousands of soldiers were found silent, their defenses melted, their cities glassed into mirrored wastelands, and humanity spoke only rarely. But when they did, the words chilled every species to their bones. You wanted us broken. You will learn what forged us instead. The retaliation unfolds. The galaxy watched in horror as the humans advanced, not with the precision of conquest, but with the cold inevitability of vengeance. The Shadow Fleets did not negotiate. They did not claim territory. They left behind no occupation, no rule, only silence. Eratheri's strongholds that had stood for centuries fell in days. Their grand shipyards were split open, their supply lines reduced to drifting graveyards. Worlds that had once fed the Empire burned under storms of kinetic fire, rods from orbit turning continents into oceans of molten glass. Entire Eratheri armadas, once the pride of the Dominion, were hunted like prey. Some tried to flee into neutral space, but the humans were already there, waiting in ambush. Some tried to hide behind civilian shields, but the humans cut through them, unflinching, leaving no survivors. This was not war. This was extermination. The climax. An empire shattered. The Erathari War Master who had slaughtered Lume IV gathered what remained of his fleets for a final stand above their capital world. Billions of civilians watched from the surface, their skies filled with defensive fire. The humans came in silence, first one dreadnought, then 10, then 100, then an armada so vast it blotted out the stars. Each vessel a leviathan, bristling with weapons no one had catalogued, carrying shadows of soldiers whose names would never be known. The War Master's defiance was broadcast to all. We are the Dominion, we do not kneel. The reply was a single word, transmitted across every frequency, every translation system in the galaxy. Kneel. And then the sky fell. Human weapons carved through the Eratheri capital fleet in minutes. Their planetary shields, once thought impenetrable, collapsed under storms of kinetic bombardments. Cities turned to fire. Towers crumbled into ash. The great spires of the Dominion cracked and fell, burning as humanity's vengeance descended like the wrath of gods. The War Master's flagship, Pride of the Dominion, was pierced by beams of white fire and torn apart. His final broadcast was a scream lost in static. The Eratheri capital world became a wasteland, a reminder carved in flame. Humanity's patience had ended. The aftermath. Whispers in the dark. When the guns fell silent, there was no victory parade, no claim of territory. The Shadow Fleets vanished as quickly as they had come, slipping back into the void, leaving behind only ruin and the echo of their passage. The galaxy trembled. Entire civilizations whispered in dread. The lesson was carved not in treaties, but in fire and silence. The Eratheri Dominion no longer existed. Their surviving colonies were left adrift, their rulers dead, their fleets gone. What remained were refugees, broken and terrified, whispering one phrase in every port they reached. Never provoke Earth again. For humanity had shown the galaxy what lay beneath the smiles of their diplomats, beneath the promises of peace and prosperity. They had shown their shadow, and in the silence that followed, as the stars themselves seemed to shudder in fear, every species learned the same truth. Humanity's vengeance is not swift. It is not merciful. It is infinite.